$100 for them.
It's my job to second by Jessica or for Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. I'm just so glad that I'm almost done. We are going to look for a motion to nominate someone to be the school board president. So looking for nominations for school board president.
I'll make a motion to nominate Julie Meyer as president.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations?
I move to close the nominations and, oh, is that not what I'm supposed to do?
Yes. And cast.
And cast a unanimous ballot for Julie Myers as school board president.
All in favor? Oh, we need a second. I apologize. Second by Shelley. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Julie, congratulations on being school board president. Again, thanks. Welcome back. You got it from here.
Thank you, David. You did good. All right. I am looking for nominations for vice president, and I am going to nominate Shelley Piskey for vice president. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations?
I'll make a motion to close the nominations and cast a unanimous vote for Shelley Piskey for vice president.
Second.
And Jean, motion carried, correct? We don't need to vote? Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Congratulations, Shelley. I ask for nominations for treasurer.
I'll make a motion to nominate Joni Wilcox as treasurer.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? I will go ahead and make a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot or unanimous vote for Joni Wilcox for treasurer.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Nominations for clerk.
I nominate Tina Matheson as clerk.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations?
I'll move to close nominations and cast unanimous ballot for Tina Matheson, please.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thanks, everyone. All right, Kelly is going to read our district mission, vision, and values, and our Board of Education collective commitment.
Mission, Bangor Pride, a small school building big futures. Vision, an innovative small school community committed to building pathways to excellence and belonging for all. Values, student-centered, safety, opportunities for all, small class sizes, fiscally sustainable, foster community, continuous improvement, and collaboration. As a member of the Bangor School Board, I will be an active listener who is open-minded, respectful, and inquisitive. Together, with one collective voice, we are committed to forward thinking while strategically prioritizing for our students, staff, and community now and into the future.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Public comment? All right, moving on. Approval of the minutes from April 8th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 8th, 2026.
A second.
Motion made by Shelley, seconded by Lisa. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Student report.
Hi. So today I have Kira Cavadini with me, and she'll be taking over for me next year for the school year. And it has been a busy month this past month, so you'll have to bear with me. I got a lot to tell you guys. So for track and field, we're over halfway through the season. We've had some really good things happen so far. JC Mitchek has broken 2 school records, the 400-meter dash and 300-meter hurdles. Grayson Truskowski has broken the 3,200-meter record. And then conference will be held next week at Bangor, if you guys want to come support. Bangor softball is tied right now for conference. They have a record of 13-5. Unfortunately, they lost last night to Westby 5-1, I believe. And then they have a home game tomorrow against Royal. Baseball is also tied right now for first place in conference and will also be playing tomorrow versus Royal at home. The ASL League is done, and they unfortunately lost last night to the playoff game with Holman, but overall they've had a great season, and Ms. Harper says there's been many great opportunities for their students. So, trap shooting season is going well. Right now our team is 3rd in conference, and congratulations to the past trap shooters of the week, Zach Lambert, Colin England, Justin Langer. And then in a couple weeks, they'll be hosting a family night, and then they will have state June 6th at Nakusa if you guys would like to go support. For clubs, Student Council has planned a Spring Spirit Week at the end of April. It went really well and included a Tourist Tuesday, Wacky Wednesday, and Floral Friday, which were fun. And then Quizbowl will be having their last meeting tomorrow. They'll be celebrating with some ice cream and cake, like always. And then FCCLA had their end-of-year banquet last Wednesday and installed their new officers. Congratulations to Monroe Sobronic for being named the new president. The girls are going to nationals in July and are still looking for ways to fundraise, which they'll be doing that throughout the next month. So if you guys would like to support them. And then FFA had their end-of-the-year banquet a couple weeks ago. Congrats to Gracie Gerard for being named their new president. And they have a state conference coming up in June. And 2 of our kids were chosen to go to the Next Gen Conference, Grace Gerard and Brielle Huffman. And they were picked out of hundreds of kids in the U.S. to learn about their future career. So that's pretty cool. Forensics had their state competition this past month. And Ms. Freimiller says it went very well. They had 2 gold medalists, 1 silver and 1 bronze. For music, we went on the New York trip a couple weeks ago now, and the band performed on the USS Intrepid, and choir performed at the Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine. We all had a very good time, and we had a workshop with Broadway performers, and were able to see world-class Broadway performances as well, Wicked and The Lion King, which was amazing. The musical auditions for Mystic Pizza will be held next Thursday in the choir room. And A couple of choir kids went to state solo ensemble, I believe a couple weekends ago now. And congratulations to Sophia Bushman and Olivia Brockup that got number ones on their solos. And then we had the spring concert yesterday, where all of the seniors were recognized and given some awards. And then we also had the chance to say a couple words and give Mr. Jones and Mr. Sattergaski their gifts for the end of the year. And for me last night, it was particularly hard, and a couple of tears were definitely shed. And then I just to like add on to that, I just wanted to say that being in the music department since sixth grade has meant so much to me as it does to a lot of kids. And thank you all for supporting that. So then middle school has their concert next week, and they're going to Trills and Thrills this Friday to perform up in somewhere in Minnesota, and then they're going to Valley Fair. Yeah, sorry. And then we had prom April 11th. Junior class did a very good job on all the decorations. It was very cute. And then just a couple last things. So as we are approaching the end of the year, wanted to let you guys know of some dates for us seniors. The senior banquet will be held this Sunday at 6 p.m. And then scholarship and awards night will be next week, the 20th at 6. That's where new NHS members will be inducted and scholarship recipients will be announced. And then graduation will be held out on the football field, weather permitting, on Sunday the 24th at 1:30. And then lastly, when I met with Mr. Wopat the other day to ask if I had to say anything special at this meeting, he told me to talk about like my last few weeks as a senior and what it's like. So of course I made a weird face at him and I reluctantly said okay. So just a couple words about that. A couple months ago, I was very much ready to get out of here and move on to summer and then college. But getting closer, though, has brought me a lot of emotions. At our FCCLA banquet and spring concert, I finally understood how hard it was to actually say goodbye to what I've been doing for almost every day for 4 years and the place I've been in since I was 4 years old. And so even though I won't be going far, I'll still miss all the friends and the teachers that I've grown so close to. And then lastly, I'd like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak with you every month. So yeah, thank you, and I hope you have a good night.
We all want to say thank you for taking time out every month to come and share with us the important activities of our students at Bangor Schools. So we appreciate it, and we look forward to you joining us next year. All right, moving on, Board President's Report, our board committee assignments. As we all know, a part of our function, an important function of us as board members is to serve on smaller committees and then report back to the board. So this is the time of year when we do the reorganization, when we look at who will serve on which committee. We usually plan to roll these forward with our current assignments unless somebody would like to change, and then we can vote. But if there isn't a general consensus, I mean, if everyone's fine with how it is, we can roll those to the next year.
Correct.
I know everybody wants to be on policy, but
You're going to hold it, right?
I'm going to hold it.
But the people that are on it love it, so
They do a very nice job. They do.
they do a great job. All right. Thank you, everyone. CISA annual meeting is coming up. We usually have a representative. I do currently represent, I'm one of the schools that represent CISA, and I would be willing to attend the meeting on June 4th. So our meetings throughout the year is the Board of Control, but in June, a representative from all the boards of all the districts within CISA 4 join us. We have a guest speaker. And, we have a little time to talk with the other districts that we don't see every month. So it is fun to all get together in June, and we do that annually.
I'd make a motion to send Julie Myers as representative of our school district at the CISA 4 annual meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Shelley, to send myself, Julie Myers, to the annual meeting of CISA on June 4th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Diploma presenters graduation, as we know, is Sunday, May 24th at 1:30. Hopefully outside, because that's what the students like. So we will hope for that. And we need 2 people to do diploma presentations.
I would like to, if possible.
Tina?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Thank you, Tina.
I mean, I can if nobody else wants to. I always wait to see if somebody really wants to.
You guys, either of you interested?
I'm out of town.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would. But the flowers will be there. Yeah.
Tina, Joni?
Joni and Tina? All right, Joni and Tina, thank you very much.
You got that, Mr. Wolfett?
Brian, got it? All righty. Moving on to committee reports. Goals Committee, we met this last week, I guess, and Tina can give a report about that.
Yes. Do we have the breakdown on here? We do, right? I'll look at it. Our goals meeting was very different than past goals meetings because it looks like we're going to restructure a little bit. And I'm kind of excited to see how it turns out. Our goals meetings always used to be like we need to hit this and do this. And this seems a little bit more collaborative with both buildings together, I feel like, and teams. We're still going to have goals from each team or area that we're going to focus on, but it just really gives each area a better focus and defined what their kind of plan is. So very different than what we've done in the past, but I feel like it's going to be very beneficial. So I think David has more to talk about on it, but it seemed like a really good idea.
Thank you, Tina. And there are some things in your packet. I don't know the page. Let's see, 19, 20, 21. If you want to take a look at that as well. Portrait of a Bangor graduate, mission, vision, values, which are still being worked on with staff and collaboratively. And then this nice sheet too, so you can take a look at that.
Yep, right after the financials, I'm going to spend some
Okay,
time going
thank you.
through all those pages and making sure you understand where we're at. So, yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Tina. Financial documents.
Had a couple of quick questions just on Chippewa Valley Sports, what that was for. It was a reminder for the new hurdles that we've got out and have been used this year. That was good. And then some questions on E-Rate that I think I was able to answer as well. E-Rate is kind of that vendor that we're able to get some really good prices on basically all things IT related, and kind of that middle person to make sure we're getting the best price on our services and some of the equipment that we use in our IT department. So John has been doing some little purchases along the way that showed up through there. If there's no other questions on the financials, we'd look for approval.
I'll make a
move
motion.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I'll make a motion to approve the financials as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Kelly, seconded by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to district reports. Summer Leadership Retreat.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to start with a little foundation and then kind of go from there, and then give the principals a little chance to share as well. This year has been kind of a rebuilding, reformatting type year in many ways, with 2 new building principals, a new admin team, figuring out how we work together. These 2 gentlemen working with their staff, identifying needs, things that need to be addressed. best. As a district, our board did the work this year. We took that input from our community, from teacher surveys, from senior exit surveys, all of those types of things, and we reworked, I guess, kind of re-energized our mission, vision, and values. The work that we did, especially in creating those definitions for our values, I think was really, really important, and clarified for our admin team exactly the direction that we should be moving as a district. So I had shared with you a few months back how that ties to this portrait of a graduate, this concept that's becoming more and more common conversation throughout the state of what are the characteristics, what are the things that students should accomplish, feel, know how to do when they walk across our stage and become a graduate. We know that should be built off the foundation of our mission, vision, and values. So the draft document that is there is built off that. It takes some extra, there's some extra tweaks, I guess, based specifically on those surveys that we took from the community, the Post-it note activities that we did with teachers. The leadership teams in the buildings have had a chance to kind of look at that and dissect and do that. I would say that is a really good draft, but it's still not the final draft. We still want to continue the conversation about, is this truly the portrait of a Bangor graduate, and are we committed to making all of our efforts push in that same direction? As we have these conversations and we talk about that direction for the district, we created this like visual. I'm a visual guy. I need the visual. The foundation, the strategic foundation for our district is that mission, vision, and values that you put in place. The administrative stewardship piece is the fact that you trust me as the district administrator and our admin team to steward that vision and make sure that carries out through all of our education. In doing that next kind of layer up, these guys have identified in working with their staff that a guiding coalition, which has been kind of the foundation of our work to this point, is not enough to do the breadth of work that we need to do and really get to that. So they want to have a little bit more input from some different, more focused teams. So building that guiding coalition and letting them focus just on that instructional piece. The leadership team or operations team working on that strategic alignment, some of the logistics of the day, the schedules and those types of things. The behavioral team, however we exactly call it, working with our challenging students, supporting our staff, making sure that our staff have what they need so that we can work with and support all of our students throughout the spectrum. The culture team is just making sure this continues to be a great place that students want to be, that our staff wants to be, and that our parents are excited to send their kids to, and our community is happy to come in and be a part of. So making sure that that's all part of that. All of those efforts need to tie back to that portrait of a graduate. The goals moving forward, each of those groups will be working from that portrait of a graduate, including some of those items in their goal setting of those groups. So just kind of showing how that all connects. The stewardship piece for us, for the admin team, it just becomes time for some changes. So one thing, the PLC conference is no longer in Minneapolis, or at least it's not this coming summer. So it's in Madison during summer school, which is a really bad time for us to try to take a bunch of teachers and administrators to Madison. It's in Iowa on a really bad time that we couldn't get anybody to, get there. So we looked at, if this is a new focus or, a refined focus for us, what if we brought those people in here internally and start some of this work over the course of the summer regarding, around that PLC work instead? This gives us a direction and a focus for that work this summer. Another piece that we need this strong alignment with is the fact that we are going to look at a new educator effectiveness model for next year, take on a new educator effectiveness model. There's a couple pages in your packet that show the difference between the current strong model and Charlotte Danielson, the state model, and show how they compare. And as you look at that document, if you flip through a little bit more, there's some information on why the research supports that. Yeah, as you scroll down a little bit, the blue and the green, you get to the bottom of that page, or the bottom of the third page, starts to show the benefits of moving that model. The goal setting, we can really select and target the areas of professional improvement that we want to tie and target through our observations, and we can tie them back to the work of our mission, vision, and values and that portrait of a graduate. So that's going to be one of those things that we work with our staff end of the school year and into the summer and throughout next year. All of this is built on the foundation that you guys have set forward and how we as an admin team hope to continue to carry that out. So I think that's just really, really important for you guys to see, ask questions about if you have questions about that. And this work will begin on the afternoon of June 3rd. When we send our kids home, remember we added some professional development time. We're bringing these teams together, and they're going to start looking at this document. They're going to hear from me on how important it is that we're all pushing in the same direction, and this is the clear direction, and then allow them some time to start to work. And then we're going to bring in the Guiding Coalition, I know, a couple times in the afternoons after summer school, and then again in August to kind of prepare us as we get ready for next school year. So, guys, anything you'd add on kind of the creation of those groups and why? Yeah, for sure. Weigh in.
Yeah, at the risk of taking too much time, I'd be happy to weigh in. And I guess it starts with a story, and that story for me is that way back when I was taking my classes for admin, you think about, if I ever become a principal, what would I want to do and how would I want to run things? And, my vision was always to have the school run by the school itself, and to have teams of teachers and other staff members that would be leaders within the building. But you don't really know. I mean, that's all just kind of pie in the sky thinking until you actually get in that position. And then got in the position, and lo and behold, I saw a need for it. And the first thing that really faced me is our leadership team was called a Guiding Coalition. David's already alluded to that. And the Guiding Coalition, in its purest form, its intent is to cover all things PLC, all things academics. So that's curriculum, Tier 1 instruction, Tier 2 instruction, data, how do we respond to the data that we get. The reality that I found pretty quickly, I had a hunch going in, but I just kind of sat back and observed. The reality is that Guiding Coalition team had very little time to do those things, because that was also our operations team. So when we would meet, we'd spend most of our time talking about logistics, policies, the day-to-day schedule, things of that nature. And so it kind of reinforced what I thought. We had a culture club this year. I brought it up when we were at the PLC conference, and the teachers that were there just ran with it. And it's been we call it the Vibe Tribe. It's been awesome. The teachers have just done a phenomenal job. It's been really, really cool. And so anyway, Brian and I don't know, maybe halfway through the year, we started meeting weekly. We just said, hey, we need to get together weekly, the two of us, and just start chatting about things. So we did. And several months ago, we kind of brought our ideas together and found out that we're, not to nobody's surprise, found out that we were very aligned in our visions for what our buildings needed. And that's where we really started forming this, and then talked to Dr. Brockup. I remember one day we were down in the conference room, and I drew it up, and he's like, let me take a picture of that. And I said, Brian, I've been talking about this, and there we go. That's where it started, and then we've just been refining ever since, and doing a lot of refining, and surveying staff, and the staff they're in. I mean, they are in. I had one staff member say to me, I won't mention a name, of course, but say to me, I always wanted to lead in the building. I just never thought I'd get the chance. And that person, she is definitely not alone in that spirit. So, I think with with these teams, we're doing a couple things, and Dr. Brockup alluded to it, that we are able to now, with those separate teams, we can really focus, have laser focus on the different entities, the different aspects within the school, rather than trying to, it's like a scatter shot right now. I feel like I mentioned with that guiding coalition, it's really hard to focus on any one thing. And then the other thing that we're doing that we both, really brought to Dr. Brockup and we thought was really important is we're building leadership within the school. And we think that's extremely important for the longevity of the success of the school. So, as you know, obviously strong leaders are important, but if the school's success revolves around one strong leader, when that one strong leader goes, what happens to the school? So we're really focused on building leadership. Another very important aspect of this is those 4 teams are not going to operate in silos. We will have systems in place so that those 4 teams are working in concert with each other. And then, I guess the last thing I would just say is Dr. Brockup mentioned research, and I had a discussion with some people who are going to be on some teams last week, assuming that the teams we're doing a little bit of preliminary. Hey, what do you think if the school board approves? If we were able to do this, and one of the people, one of the staff members brought to me, well, if let's say a team has some disagreement and can't reach consensus on something, I said, how do we solve that? And I said, the first place we go is the research. Because there is a world of research, there's a plethora of research out there. There are wonderful websites. What Works Clearinghouse is a great educational website for research, educational research. And so opinions and thoughts are important, but you really have to go to the research so that you can back what you are, the actions that you're taking within the school. That's where I'll stop and turn it over to Brian.
The one thing that I would add is that throughout this year, just listening to the staff and being responsive to their needs, as we've developed the mission, vision, and values, and then creating that portrait of a graduate, like Dr. Brockup was saying, all of a sudden things are now starting to make sense. And when we look at these 4 separate teams, now we can start to see that path forward. And so to lay that out for the future and be able to move things, that's what's going to be important, because we all know at the end of the day, too, the report card is something that the public looks at, and we want to make that little nudge, that movement in there, and these teams will be instrumental in doing that.
Will it be difficult to compile these teams, or if you have 12 volunteers to be the chairman, or how are they going to come together? I'm curious.
Speaking for the elementary, I couldn't have wished for anything better. Like, I had the volunteers. So I asked, I'm sure Brian did something very, very similar. Who wants to be on which team? If you'd like to be on more than one team, if there's more than one team that interests you, what is your ranking? Like, what's your top? What's your next? And then, are you interested in being a leader on a team? And it just aligned. I thought I was going to have to, have some arm wrestling tournaments or something, and it really hasn't worked out that way. And what's really beautiful is that there are a couple of teams where, let's say I had on my operations team, I had 3 K1 teachers who wanted to be on that, and that was their only choice. I don't really need 3 K1 teachers on that team. But I went to them, and one of the teachers said, I'll be on any team you need me to be on. And so they solved it for me. And I've just found that to be the case.
Nice.
It's interesting how I've looked at this and put this together, and we've had how many conversations around this. But as I listen to them talk a little bit, and you talk about the vision, if you look at this document, I just drew more lines on mine, and looking at the portrait of a graduate, that visionary thinker aligns a lot with the guiding coalition, the empowered advocate a lot with the leadership team, the resilient learner with the behavior team, and the community builder with the culture team. Like, if you start to look at some of those, it's like it wasn't created that way, but we're working those 4 areas that have emerged through all of the work. And I think there's going to be really good goal alignment to that. So, yeah, I'm excited for the work that we've got ahead of us.
Well, and I think you said the portrait of a graduate, that is still in the works though, right? Because it took us a long time to do our mission statements and our verbiage and everything like that.
Yep.
So this is just a document still in the works.
Exactly. And I think, it's a document that we continue to work with these groups now and continue to enhance, and we'll bring back to you. And before we say this is our portrait of a graduate, you guys will sign off on that for sure.
I have a couple questions. From the people that have volunteered, how much overlap do you see? Do you see like the same group of 12 volunteering for all 4? Is there any overlap whatsoever? And then question number 2 is why on the culture team is the elementary school unlimited, but the high school is limited to 5?
So when it comes to overlap, what's interesting is, so both of us went ahead and surveyed staff, like who's interested in doing it. And there are a couple, but it's 4 or 5 people out of the whole group, out of all 4 teams that overlap. In terms of the culture team, the high school doesn't have anything like that right now. And so part of it is being intentional to make sure that there is someone who's leading it, and then just to get it started to say, okay, there's a couple. But for Mr. Oh my gosh, Dr. Luke, for Mr. Luke, because he has that vibe tribe, and I don't want to speak for you, but what he's shared in the past is that the teachers like to be able to come and go. And so to restrict them would be to say, okay, now if you're going to fulfill this, you're going to fulfill it for the whole year. This gives that flexibility to them, whereas at the high school level, I really want to get something kick-started.
Sorry, I got one more. Lastly, can you define what is the culture team? Is that more like building culture, or is that more like world culture?
Yeah, I can address both questions. The first one, as far as overlap, so at the elementary, we'll have 0 overlap because we had enough people volunteer, with the exception of the Vibe Tribe, our culture team. And the reason that the reason we have the overlap there is the same reason why it says unlimited. So this year, what we found was with that culture club with the Vibe Tribe, again, that was spawned when we were down at the PLC conference, and a couple of teachers, and I said, hey, one of the things I would like to try right away is to have a culture club. One of the teachers down there said, I've been thinking the exact same thing. And so she took off with it. Other teachers just climbed on board. Nobody gets paid for this. There were times, they met once a month. There were times throughout the year where 15 teachers would show up after school to this. And so I spoke with several teachers and made the decision that I didn't want to stifle that. So I didn't want to say, okay, now we're only going to have 3 or 4. It's a different situation from what Brian's in. I didn't want to say we're only going to have 3 or 4 on this culture team and the rest of you can't be on it, because it was one of those teams where people just like to come and be part of it. What we do need is we need a group of core people who will be there every single meeting and who will lead the planning for that team. Because obviously you can't have everybody just kind of come and go as they wish. But I did want to leave it open so that people could come and be a part of it. And if they couldn't be there next month, that's fine, as long as we had that core team of people who would be there. So with the exception of those core people, the rest they would not receive any stipend for it. They would just be there because they want to be there. What was that second question? Culture. Oh, the culture. So that's a great question. So the culture are 2 things: the culture of the staff and the culture of the students. Obviously, those 2 overlap a lot and are very connected. But that's what we're talking about with the culture of the building, staff and students.
Sense of belonging, that's the key.
All right. Giving you some information on what we're working on as a team and where we're headed.
Well, Lisa just sparked when we talked about it in goals, I looked at them when we went over it. Your leadership team, all of your titles on all these, your leadership team is going to be focused on?
Logistics, a lot of that, and the alignment to the goals. Dave would call his more of an operations team, scheduling, planning, those types of things with that leadership team. It's where you get tied up a lot of the time currently in our guiding coalitions, trying to figure out all those logistical pieces. So it's separating that from the academic focus of the guiding coalition.
Okay. It's just the wording, so it's confusing for people else.
And they're both using some different terminology. It's a draft. It's what we're throwing out there, but what exactly we end up calling it, and it can be a little bit
Okay,
different.
so this is a draft. You're still in work.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They're going to bring these people together, and they will continue to define it. Yep.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to district action agenda, 25-26 teacher compensation.
Yeah, so as we've reviewed a little bit already, we are looking to approve the compensation for the 26-27 school year for our professional teaching staff. As we look at the total base wage calculation and break it out, we are proposing, or I am proposing to move all staff forward their step as they are their year of experience, and then also increasing each cell on the pay scale by $550. That would make our new base wage on the pay scale of $43,850. Attached there is the current pay scale, so you can kind of see what that means for the rest of the scale as well. This is based off the 2.63 inflationary index that we are working from. If there's no questions, we'd look for a motion to approve the teacher pay increases for the 26-27 school year. Where it says 6.5, it's 6.3. It's fixed.
I'll make a motion to approve the teacher compensation for the 26-27 school year that applies the appropriate movement for all staff, increase each cell on the salary schedule by $550.
Second.
Motion by motion by Shelley, seconded by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 26-27 hourly staff compensation.
So as we looked at applying a similar 2.63% to our hourly staff, as we've done, keeping that kind of a straight across the board change, 75 cents per hour on all of the cells of our hourly pay scale made the most sense. So we're looking to approve that 75% increase. Again, for your reference, you have the 25-26 hourly pay scale, so you can kind of see where it is and where it will go with a 75 cent increase.
I was going to say 75 cent, not
Cents.
75%.
75 cent, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the appropriate movement and an increase of 75 cents to all hourly paid positions listed on the hourly paid scale.
I'll second.
Jessica, yeah.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Jessica. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Baseball, softball field maintenance and repairs.
Yeah, so I think when we started this year's budget cycle, and we had some initial conversations about our baseball, softball diamonds, we were talking that it may be a $750,000, $800,000 project to get our fields back to where they need to be. We made some good moves with the drainage work that we did this past fall. We had budgeted for some of the work that has come in under budget to this point in time. So we're going to be able to really do a lot more repairs this year than we thought. So the first repair here that we're looking for approval is with Dirt Monkey out of Sparta that will come into both the baseball and softball fields, and their bid is there that kind of shows all of the specifics. This will address the warning tracks. This will address the infields, put new sod in the baseball infield, get everything back to what it should be. As far as drainage, they'll do some repairs in the outfield where we've got low spots or bad spots, but that will be fairly limited, and get things back to where they should be for level and drainage and all of those types of things on both of our fields. There is work on there to create an area for a batting cage for our softball diamond, that while we've got the earth moving equipment and everything here, they'll get that prepped for us as well. So that's all included in this bid of $31,780 to be done right away in June.
I'll make a motion to approve the restoration.
Can I ask some questions quick, Kelly? Sorry. So I think I asked you a few questions first, but they're doing the excavating as a company. Do they do renovations of fields typically? Is this something they do? Who's going to oversee the actual?
Yeah, they take care of like multiple facilities throughout La Crosse County, like athletic field, baseball diamonds, and those types of things, where they go in yearly and do that yearly maintenance, and they focus just on fields. So they have a team that just does fields. They did the village baseball diamond a couple of summers ago, and kind of restored that, got that back to where it needed to be a couple of years ago. So this is not an uncommon thing. There are other vendors that we looked at, one of which couldn't get the manpower here, that focus more on the heavy excavation and that type of things, that has teams that does this, but this is a group that this is one of their areas of focus.
Do you foresee heavy excavating, or do you foresee just like
Grading.
It would be some very detailed grading to get all of the drainage to go back. There will be removing some of the areas that are compromised over the time, where the clay and the bad soil has worked its way up. They've got to get some of that out, put some better soil back in, and then build the infields back up to where they need to be, so that it's not that wet spot.
So you said something about softball batting prep. Where does that
So
go?
the batting cage will go as close to the road as we can get it, as close to 10th Avenue as we can get it, behind the home dugout. And then they'll take care of that wet area that's right there too.
So you're talking like
Yeah, first baseline.
Thank you.
First baseline.
And closer to where the tall grass is.
Yes.
So then you're going to slope where that mud pile is.
Yep.
Out and around?
Out and around, so it comes around like it did originally. It's settled right there.
And do you push it back farther then, so it doesn't affect the view? Like, do you push it back more to?
Yeah, and it'll be
the
down
pit.
the first baseline as far as we can, as
So
far as we
past
can
the
go.
dugout,
Yep.
you're saying?
Yep.
And then when you say prep it, you mean you're just getting it like
Yeah.
there, but then not the poles and the
Correct.
batting
We've
part?
had some conversations that the booster club will support part of the actually buying the net and the cage and all of that type of stuff for that. We have not finalized that. I would hope to be coming to you with that before next season, so they would have it for next season. But at least we'll have the area prepped for it, similar to where the area is for the baseball batting cages.
And this is a request from softball to use and have.
Yeah, and so they don't have to go the distance up the hill and share with baseball. I think it's fair for them to have their own space.
And then the softball, baseball fields would be up to everything that you originally requested or wanted or foreseen.
Yeah. And then you'll see on there that it's not listed. They're suggesting, yearly or every other year, like an $1,800 cost for them to come in early spring and to get everything back to spec so that it drains properly and functions well for us throughout the year. So we wouldn't have to do it every year, but to have that as an option versus in the past number of years, a group of baseball players and softball players and parents and stuff have come in, brought material in, having them do that maintenance and keep it to where it needs to be, hopefully avoid the additional $30,000 repairs in a couple of years.
Are we doing anything with the bullpens at the baseball field? Like if there's any rebuild that needs there, is that included? Or
That
not?
is included if you look at that. And when you look at the fence rebuilds, on the next item, actually creating some large enough gates that we can get the equipment in there to work on those as well. So it's not just a walk-through gate into those.
Okay, I'm talking about the field, like Dirt Monkey. Will they be like?
They will be,
Okay,
yes.
because I didn't see that on here.
Yeah.
And then I know I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit, but my only other concern is I think just from talking in the community, there's a little confusion on like when are the fields going to be unavailable? Like maybe that's already been all communicated out, but just so everybody's aware, Legion, summer softball, rec.
The baseball diamond will basically be unavailable because of the sod work and the time that will need to get reestablished. And that's what we've been in communication with Todd on all along. The softball diamond is going to be functional until they start to work on it, and they won't do as much grass work. So once they're done with it, we'll be able to get back on it. So it's just a matter of the actual dates that they're going to get here, which I will try to lock that in as close as I can once this is approved, but it will be affected by weather. If weather continues to be great like it is, they'll show up on time or maybe early. If weather, they get a rain day, that throws the project that's in line before us off. And, so I can't give an exact date yet of when they'll be here. And even then, it'll be affected by weather.
Starting right after the completion of the high school season, or is there an expected target date to start? Or
as soon as we can, as soon as they're able to get here after the completion of the baseball and softball seasons.
And are we talking like a multi-day, multi-week project? I guess I don't know. Like, what's the?
I guess they didn't tell me exactly how many days they'd be on each field.
Okay.
He did say the softball field would probably be usable within a week.
Yeah.
We also have to time the fence up with that.
Oh, yeah.
So it might be 2 weeks if we have to work with the fencing vendors too, because it's two different vendors. Parks and Rec uses it quite a bit, and then the Legion has been using the baseball field, which they're making plans to use different field, and then the softball team to some extent. They travel some as well. At some point in time, you've got to take away the use because
It's gotta be done.
It's got to be
Only
done.
gonna get worse if you let-
We will minimize it as much as possible.
It can't get much worse, so it's got to be done.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, but this is going to improve it. I guess that was my question, because
Yes.
on buildings and grounds, when we talked about it 3 years ago, we talked about having to do drain tile. So I'm just confirming that everything that really needs to be done is listed out here, and we're going to do it while we're closing it down.
Yeah, we hope we had one of the wettest
Right.
Aprils
Springs ever.
in history.
I talked with David, the ditch work we did in Gerke Inn, digging out the drainage ditch and all that did help alleviate a lot of the wet that was there. I mean, it's still some, and that will get brought up. Dirt Monkeys will bring up that outfield area that was so wet, but that drainage did help a lot.
And
So-
I don't think until you get some of that clay out of the base path on the baseball field that it's, no matter what you do to it drainage wise,
It's
I
gonna
don't
be
think it's
soft.
going to really matter. And I think it's been a drastic improvement. I'm there almost every game. That water is constantly running, whether it's dry or not. So I think that's a positive. I do think there's probably a little work still to possibly be done in right field. I don't know. I know that you mentioned that in here, so I hope that they can fix that. But I think it's been a huge improvement. I have talked to Todd a few times. Again, you can't really help how much rain you get, and you're going to have times where no matter what you do, it's not going to be playable. But I think it's been a huge improvement.
It's probably not an $850,000 improvement of completely rebuilding the field, but I think with what we've invested in it, we will be substantially better. And I think the fact that we've got a relationship with somebody that does fields that we could come in every spring and continue to touch it up moving forward, or every other spring and touch it up moving forward, puts us in a really good position to maintain them from here out.
I don't think $3,600 is asking too much to keep it at grade. So we don't get to that point.
Because
where
if you
we-
get the low spots and then the water settles there, that's when you create the issues. If we can keep it to where it's supposed to be and it drains as best that we can, it'll help preserve it.
I do have one more question, but I guess I can wait till the fencing part if you want to move on from this part. But.
Okay. I mean, you can ask it if it would affect your vote on this one.
No, my only other thing or thought is, are we moving, probably softball's not an option, I don't think it needs to be, but baseball, are we moving the field or the fence in slightly? And is there an option, or would it be helpful to dig like a trench or ditch behind the fence to help that water flow?
In right field at the baseball diamond.
Yeah.
So the request is to move the field in, I think, 10 feet in that corner, which will help. And then, yes, we will make sure that that is draining better out
Or
there.
like behind the fence, because it's kind of that marshy,
Yep.
mucky area. If you dug a trench behind the fence and connected it to the ditch, would that help the water flow? If
And
it was
there
sloped?
is a trench that's not draining as well as we'd like it to right now. We just need to get out there, and when they're here, we can tweak that a little bit. Gerke has not been able to get back to do the final grade and seeding because it's been so wet. I don't know that it's going to completely dry out for them like they're hoping it would. As dry as it is right now.
I'd say it's very dry right now.
But they know they've been here. They know they still have a little bit of that work, and once we move that field in, then we can make that exactly what we need it to be.
Because if it seems like that swampy marshy area just keeps creeping in. And then I guess lastly, maybe I'm dreaming, but I thought we had talked about putting like some sort of a bridge or a walkway across that ditch. I mean, this is more of a convenience factor.
Yep.
But right
So-
now, when there's foul balls and it goes on the other side of the ditch, the kids are having to run a half a mile to go get it.
So my hope would be with that tile that we extended out to create that grass area that's growing right now,
Yeah.
that once all of that soil settles in, that we could actually do a sidewalk and have like an accessible path down to the softball diamond. So you would enter kind of at the baseball diamond and then have a long, slow incline down to the softball diamond. Would be my goal. So that would be the bridge. It would be at that end of that culvert instead of an actual bridge.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll stop asking now.
You know the field's better than anybody here, so
Yeah.
go ahead and ask.
That walkway would be a later item.
That's not a part of any
Yeah.
of this right now. I think we want to let that settle a year with the amount of fill and everything that we put in there. Right.
I didn't realize there were so many parents and community members out there with buckets when the fields are so wet. So thanks to everyone that does that. That was crazy. But any other questions? Okay.
All right, we're looking for approval then to work with Dirt Monkey at an estimated cost of $31,780 to restore the baseball and softball fields this summer.
I'll make a motion to approve the restoration of the baseball and softball fields by Dirt Monkey at an estimated cost of $31,780.
I'll second that.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Shelley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Baseball and softball fence maintenance and repairs.
So this separate vendor, obviously working on the fence. The number one concern with the fence is the number of concrete cemented in posts that have heaved over the years, creating a safety hazard and big gaps under the fence. So the way that that's being addressed on the fields is like where they're 6 foot high fences, there'll be 12-foot long posts that they drive into the ground versus cement into the ground. If they ever do heave, which they'll be less likely to heave now, you can take the top cap off and drive them back in and put the fence back to where it needs to be, which is a positive for us. And then, again, it's maintenance versus redo. We are reusing some of the chain link in this process. We're moving the fence a little bit. We got the really cool, that red backdrop on the softball diamond. Some of that's torn away. When we've put that on in the past, the fences have not been built sturdy enough to actually hold that. So they've ripped the fences off the posts, they've bent posts, they've done all those things. So one of the other things that we're addressing here is closer together posts and more ties onto the chain link, so that if I think that's been a backer's purchase in the past, if the backers would like to purchase another set of screening, it would be possible to adhere it to our screens or new fences without making major repairs. We're adding at the baseball diamond another opening on the first base sideline side, so that we can get the toolcat or equipment in and out of there. Just another pathway to get to where we need to get to work on the field. Widening the gates to the bullpen again, so we can get in and actually work with some equipment to keep those leveled up over time. Other than that, it's just fixing and making sure that all of the fences are touching the ground and safe and not going to blow over if we put anything else on them. So the work is divided out by the two fields, and looking for approval for that work to happen in conjunction with the groundwork.
All of the fencing is for both those fields. None of it is over on this side at all. It has nothing to do with the track. It's all
Correct.
over there.
Correct.
If there's no more questions, I'll make a motion to approve the fence repairs for the baseball and softball diamonds by Century Fence at an approximate cost of $29,780.
I will second.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Jessica. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Track resurface and lines.
So this has been an item that has been on our agenda kind of all year, just seeing where we would end up financially at the end of the year. We started a conversation early this spring looking at the lines on the track needing to be repainted, just because they're really starting to fade after 15 years or so of use. And in looking at that, it's about $16,000 just to repaint the lines. At that point in time, when we had the vendor, Fisher Track, that's the company that put it in, out here, they said you're really at an optimal time if you're going to spend that money to add the top surface layer, add another layer to our track, protecting it hopefully for the next 15 years so that it is in really good condition. Our physical blacktop track that's underneath it is in excellent condition right now. There's not places where water is getting in and heaving in the freezing and thawing cycle, and that this top dressing seals that, so that continues to be the issue. The current surface is still well adhered. You'll see tracks that start to fail, and the rubber spray on over top of the blacktop starts to separate. You get holes, pockets, those types of things, air bubbles, if you will. That's not happening yet. So the timing is really, really good to add this additional layer to the track surface. After they spray that on, obviously they will come in and they will reline it. There are a couple of things that have changed regulation-wise with some arrows in the starting zones that will get relined now to their proper zones. I think with us hosting sectionals, and that's been good for our district. That's just another reason to really make sure that our track is in excellent shape and ready to go for the future. So this should be maintenance that should be good for the next 10 to 15 years. And it's maintenance that if we don't do, you start to flirt with a complete redo of a track that's going to be $300,000 plus to completely tear out and repair, put new blacktop and all of that down. So we ended up being under budget on some of our softball projects and softball baseball projects, other building and grounds type projects. And as I shared with the board, our special ed numbers came in, or not our special ed, our open enrollment numbers came in a little bit better than anticipated. So we have the ability to make this purchase at the end of this year, and they will be able to get here in June and make that new surface happen after the season.
I asked you quite a few questions about this already. So if they come in June and they do this, is it done that day, or do you have to like close it all off and restrict it for
So
long?
that's a good question. We'll have to restrict it for, I think, like 3 days from when they put the first. They'll put 3 layers, 3 different cross layers of the rubber buildup stuff that goes on it, and then they'll leave, and it'll be completely black, no lines, no nothing, and a different crew will come back. At least after 3 days. It might be 3 weeks before the different crew comes back. It would be walkable, usable during that time that is black, but it's not going to be painted until that second crew comes to do the painting.
So will they do that in between, like when school lets out and before summer school starts, or will you? I mean, I'm assuming you'll lock all the gates, but there's going to have to be some kind of signage or something.
Yeah. If they have committed to me that they can get that done in June. And if it's during summer school, yeah, we're just going to have to lock things off and keep it closed for that time.
I'm just asking. It's a dollar amount, and if they put it on and it's 3 days, then we need a way to make sure that we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we'll count on the goodness of our community to obey the signs and ropes and things that we put out. They don't always read the signs, but we will make our best effort to protect it at that point in time.
So you said it's just a sealant that goes over. It's not going to add to.
It's going to add thickness.
It's going to add to the rubber.
Yep.
Okay.
If you look, Josh could probably speak to it better, but I was noticing the other night when I was out there, like the starting zone where they put the starting blocks for like the 100-yard or 100-meter, race and stuff, those dig into that rubber. And that's an area, probably the most worn area of the whole track, where you can just see where that's, so it's going to cover all of that, build that back up. So it's ready. You had any other?
The start of the 100, the start of the 400, the relays that usually gets used. That's going to include the jump areas too, because those get worn down.
So that was my other question. So it'll be the whole backside too for.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just natural wear and tear.
But it's going to cover more than just the track. It's going to cover any
The jump
actual
pits, yeah.
black surface
black
that we
stuff.
have out there.
Yeah.
And when's the last time we had it done? Was it like 2017 or 18?
Is 18 the brand new track? This would be a maintenance of it.
Any other questions?
Well, if there's no other questions, then I'll make a motion to approve the resurfacing with structural spray and repainting of the track by Fisher Tracks at a cost of $92,866.
I'll second that.
Motion by Lisa, seconded by Shelley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Purchase new van.
Talked to the board a little bit about this. This is a strategic purchase on a gear that we will qualify. We should, in all likelihood, qualify for high cost transportation aid based on the buses that we've bought, the big red van that we bought this year. Our goal would be to not purchase any vehicles next year, and then benefit from the aid of buying them this year. So again, with where budget has run at the end of this year, it makes sense to be able to do this. Our vans, all of them are out most days. This would give us the ability to rotate around the vans. The really bad rusty one that the custodial staff runs around now, we could get rid of that and then kind of shift vans around in doing that. So time is right. It's interesting because we've bought Pacificas for the last 3 vans, and they're no longer making Pacificas. They're making this Plymouth Voyager, which is set up the exact same as the Pacificas. And when I looked back, I think about $3,000 cheaper than what we bought a year ago when we bought one.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the new 2026 Plymouth Voyager from Sleepy Hollow in Viroqua at a cost of $40,491.50.
I will second.
Motion by Shelley, seconded by Jessica. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. New policies 5461, 6605, and 6608. And this is the second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of new policies 5461, 6605, and 6608 as reviewed by our Policy Review Committee and read last month.
I'll second.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Lisa. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Dr. Braca, personnel?
Yeah, the first item in personnel is a resignation of elementary physical education teacher Jacob Peterson. Jacob's been with the district for about 12 years, maybe a little bit over. He has served as a substitute teacher, coach, this year as a bus driver, half the route, and is taking on some endeavors outside of education, and we wish him the best as he makes that transition. So looking for the approval of the resignation of Jacob Peterson and thank him for his 12 plus years of service for the district.
I didn't know he was driving bus.
Yeah.
So can we keep him for that?
Ask him really nicely.
I will.
I think he might sub for us, but I don't know that he wants to do it daily.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no questions, I will make a motion to approve the resignation of elementary physical education teacher effective at the end of the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
Motion by Jessica, seconded by Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Jacob, for all of your years of service in Bangor, coaching, teaching, bus driving. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. You can continue.
Another resignation / retirement for Paul Laxton is a retirement, a culmination of 40 years in public education and serving students in multiple communities and ending here with his service to Bangor as our athletic director. And he has a nice letter there about what it's meant to him to be part of the Bangor community and the Bangor athletic program, and is looking forward to spending more time with his children and grandchildren and really enjoying his time in retirement. So we thank Paul for his 5 years as athletic director with us and wish him the best moving forward. Look for approval of his resignation / retirement from his position as athletic director.
I'll make a motion to approve the resignation, retirement of Paul Laxton from his position as middle school, high school athletic director, effective June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Paul, for your service to the Bangor School District. Hires?
I'm going to let you guys hit these two hires. You're the one.
Elementary special ed?
Yeah, so for the special ed position, we had 11 applicants, which is really good, and it was a great field. It was a very competitive field, and we hired Julia Sturban out of Brookfield. She is moving here with her family, and it mentions in there in the verbiage that she took a significant pay cut to come here, and we're really fortunate to have her. During the interview, it was just we were wowed with her experience and with her demeanor and with her spirit towards education. And then when I called on the references, it's when you call on a reference, you usually don't get anything bad, or they wouldn't put them on there as references. But these people just went on and on and on about her, and so yeah, I think we're in really good shape with Julia. And I do have to give some credit to a few of our teachers who, on that weekend, she was making her decision. She met with Dr. Brock up on a Friday, and then she was going to meet with him over the phone on a Monday. And a few of our teachers took it upon themselves to reach out to her over the weekend and tell her just how much they wanted her to be here. So I'd like to think that may have helped a little bit.
I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Julia Sturban as elementary special education teacher beginning with the 26-27 school year.
I'll second.
Motion made by Jessica, seconded by Lisa. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. High school science teacher.
So this position was vacated by Sue Adams, who's moving into our tech position coming open. We had 5 applicants. We knew this was going to be challenging just because science, there's so many aspects of it at the high school level that they have to be licensed in. We had 3 candidates, and out of those 3, they were all 3 really, really good candidates. And we selected Haley Johnson. Here's the interesting tidbit about Haley is that she's still a young professional. She started out as a food scientist, so she's worked in the private sector and then decided to transition into education. Had a couple kids and then decided to stay home with them. And she's like, yep, I'm ready to adult more than kid. And so she's ready to come back to the classroom. And between her interview and, again, the reference checks, it was extremely clear that she is organized. She lives the PLC process. And for her, think of it as like bowling, the 9 and 11 pins. You can hit the center with basically the majority of what you're doing, but she really focuses on those kids that are on the fringes and just working at building those relationships. And that stood out. And so for the interview team, they'd like to bring forward Haley Johnson as our new science teacher.
I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Haley Johnson as high school science teacher beginning with the 26-27 school year.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, administrative reports. We will start with Mr. Chaplin.
Thanks, Julie. I just want to thank Allie Thailand, who Julie is replacing. Allie has decided to move back to where she's from, so she's done a nice job the second semester here for us, so I just want to thank her. So the ACT administration is the first one on there. We have preliminary results. However, we did get some emails today saying that ACT had some problems with their scoring, so some of that scoring will be reviewed and will be going up. No scores will be going down. So we'll see what comes of that scoring. They are a private company, so someone might get fired here. So, special education outing. We've done this since I've been here, taking students in special education out to the Bangor lanes. The middle school, high school went May 1st, and the elementary will be going next Friday. To the Bangor lanes. It's, again, an opportunity for kids that may not get out in the community as much as they would like. It's just a nice time for them to go out just on their own with our adult educators. And then the district state testing, you can see we're all done with state testing, so that is great. Stay tuned for the dates for next year.
Any questions for Mr. Chaplin? Thank you. Mr. Luke?
Okay, so here we go. PTO Carnival, we had that on May 1st. It was a great event, very, very well attended. I don't have any official numbers, but I did a little digging, and it sounds like they may have made over $3,000 that night, PTO. So it was really awesome. I just want to thank everybody, the PTO obviously, but everybody else for their support in that. Challenge Academy cadets. So as you know, we've had Challenge Academy cadets coming and volunteering their time tutoring here at the elementary school for the last month or so. Their last day is tomorrow for the school year. It far exceeded, my expectation. It's just been an amazing experience for our kids. I did ask our teachers at the staff meeting last week, just because I wanted to make, I worked at the Challenge Academy. I wanted to make sure, my words to them, to the staff, was I want to make sure that this wasn't just my pet project. And so I said to them, tell me specifically if there are any benefits to our students. And they just went on and on. In fact, I counted, in a couple of minutes, there were 14 different comments on how it specifically benefits our students. I will have more specifics for you if you'd like to read any of that. I'm going to send a survey to staff here in the upcoming week or so they have a chance just to weigh in a little bit more formal way. And of course, at the same time, I also asked, have you seen or heard of any negativity? And they had nothing to say. So it's been outstanding. Interviews. So just a note there. Obviously, we're looking to get a PE teacher. We're going to be interviewing on Monday night. We have another strong people want to come to Bangor. We had 11 for our special ed position. We have 14 applicants for our PE position. So narrowing that down to who we are going to interview has been a somewhat difficult process because we have some really good candidates. Next up, I just want to make a note here, the Bangor Historic Walking Tour. I wish I could go on every field trip. That's unfortunately not possible, but I did spend a little bit of time with the fourth grade here a couple weeks ago when Dr. Wagner does his Bangor Historic Walking Tour, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. We went up to that, I don't know if they called it Opera House or what, it was up above Waltz. I'd never been in it before. Very cool. We're looking at, these numbers, the writings on the wall from the early 20s and before, and then we went over to the Baptist church, and he's telling us all about that. I didn't know that the windows in there are from 1865. They are original windows. And so I was trying to put that into context for our students. I was like, what happened in 1865? And then I gave them a little clue, like, a war? And they're like, oh, World War II. I was like, no, not quite. But then somebody did figure it out. It was the end of the Civil War. So we had a little discussion on that, and Dr. Wagner's just outstanding. I'm sure most, if not all of you know him. It's just amazing. Then finally, summer school. I don't have anything new to report. I gave you some reports last month. The one thing I do have that's new would be the numbers of students. And we're sitting at about 280 right now.
Wow.
So that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wolpat?
All right, I just want to give a shout out to Jordan Sackmaster for her year of service as a student representative to the board. I just want to say that her voice, perspective, and updates have helped us make a positive impact on our school community, and I just appreciate the time, thoughtfulness, and dedication that she's brought to the role throughout the year. It's crazy, but to consider that the end of the school year is right around the corner. And Jordan shared with you, this upcoming week is extremely busy, starting with senior banquet on Sunday, NHS induction and the scholarship nights on Wednesday. Seniors' last day then is Thursday. Graduation practice will be Friday at 9 with the senior walk afterwards. Graduation Sunday, the 24th. Monday, June 1st and 2nd are finals, and believe it or not, students' last day is Wednesday, June 3rd. It's 3 weeks, but for everyone, it's really right around the corner. And then lastly, the Cardinal Hall of Distinction. Just want to remind everyone that the deadline for nominations for the Cardinal Hall of Distinction is July 31st. I'm currently in the process of identifying community members to serve on the selection committee. We do have one applicant. The plan is to have the induction in conjunction with homecoming week this fall. And just the Cardinal Hall of Distinction really provides an opportunity to showcase our alumni, staff, and community members while supporting both the district and community goals of promoting and strengthening Bangor pride. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Wopat? Thank you. Dr. Brackup?
Yes. I think Rick went in and deleted out the stuff I put in there. That was our joke. That one of us was always deleting the others, but I did put two things in there. One, the state was voting today in Madison on the budget surplus deal that was reached between Governor Evers and the legislature. I think that's going to be a real positive for us, looking at increasing and getting to that 50% funding for special education, which is a huge move and will be really great for our district and for districts across the state. Looking at $600 million investment into the school funds in the form of aid, which is directly going to go to our taxpayers and help with the fact that aid did not come in this year, and that truly impacted our taxpayers and had them take on more of the burden from schools. So putting $600 million towards that is a step in the right direction. Looks like that will go through, and then those $600 direct support payments for families looks like it will be part of the deal that should be approved today. I've been kind of tied up with you guys for a little bit. I haven't seen the final announcement, but that was what they were debating in Madison today. So some progress on an issue that they've been talking about for a long time. The other part that I just want to make sure you guys are aware of, that June 3rd, we'll have our June 4th, we have our retiree luncheon at 11 o'clock on the 4th. I apologize that I said the wrong, but June 4th, 11 o'clock. If you plan to attend, just shoot me an email or give me a heads up that you're going, and if there's more than 4 of you, I'll make sure I post it. But I know that some of you have made it in the past and some aren't able to. But if you plan on being here on June 4th, let me know. You're all welcome, and I'm happy to post it. I just won't unless I know you're coming. So anything else? Otherwise, we can go on to the consent agenda.
Okay, moving on, removal of items from the consent agenda. Tonight on the consent agenda, we have current openings, ending open enrollment for the 2026-27 school year based on our attendance, course approvals for fall 2026, overnight field trip for Odyssey of the Mind World Competition, 26-27 elementary and middle school, high school building budget, and then the early childhood agreement, and also the severe IDS agreement.
The courses for 2000, that course approvals, was there any significant change there?
So that's actually like the addition of like 5. You approved the majority of them last month, and it was the long list that was pretty similar to what we've done in the past. This was just a few that came in late.
And then both budgets, it looked very similar. Nothing stuck out to me. Was there anything major on either of those that I missed?
No, we basically rolled forward the elementary budget. That might change by $50, which is the speech and language budget, because the majority of those items for speech and language come through special ed. So that budget may, again, we're within $50 there, and we actually are seeing a year where we have fewer subscriptions at the middle school, high school for some of those online textbooks renewals and those types of things. So that's pretty stable too, if not down just a touch. Yep.
If there's no other questions, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Shelley, seconded by Joni.
Nope, Tina.
Oh, Tina, I'm sorry. Motion by Shelley, seconded by Tina. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Sorry, Tina. And then I ask for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Kelly. To adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, everyone.